All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our webinar. We have South Gulf Football Officials Association this evening going to present on a few items. Seems to be a very interesting topic, one that a lot of individuals were interested in, as we probably had the highest number of attendees sign up at around 344 when I last checked prior to starting our practice session that we had. So hopefully we get a lot of good information tonight. Adam and his team, I'm sure, have worked hard. We've been in talks for the last month or so regarding this. So I look forward to what they have for us tonight. As we've had in the past, the Q&A box is open, so please feel free to put any questions in throughout the presentation, and I will ask those and relay them to the team at a good stopping point prior to forgetting or taking too long and forgetting about what we were talking about. So I will monitor that as I have in the past. The goal is about an hour or so, but again, like I said, with as many individuals attending and signed up for it, it may go a little bit longer than an hour. So if at any point you need to leave or sign off, that is fine. Please feel free to do that. I will be recording. It is recording now, and it will get posted to our website, the FHSA Central Hub. So you'll always be able to go back and watch any part that you missed or want to re-watch again. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over to Adam Weisberger, let him introduce his team, and we'll get started. Thank you, guys.
And thanks, Jeremy, and good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Weisberger, and I'm the president of the South Gulf Football Officials Association, now entering our 51st year serving the schools in and around Lee County. Before I introduce the team presenting tonight's very important topic, the end of September will mark 1 year since Hurricane Ian devastated our area here in Southwest Florida. And I personally want to thank all of the officials and associations on the call tonight that reached out to us in the aftermath of the storm, offering their well wishes and even financial support. We're very grateful to all of you, thrilled that you can be here tonight with us, and we are excited to be part of this officiating brotherhood. We're thrilled to be presenting tonight's topic on safety fouls, with an emphasis on targeting, blocks below the waist, blindside blocks, and chop blocks. As you know, over the years, the NFHS has modified and changed these rules to keep the players safe, and they have routinely been points of emphasis. Our presenters tonight, Doug Stevens, Ryan Bazingo, Mark Jensen, and Rick Sanzone, have more than 80 years combined experience in football officiating, and through discussion and video, we are going to help make sure we know what to look for and how to identify when these fouls actually occur. As Jeremy mentioned, he's monitoring the chat, so feel free to engage with us and the presentation and ask some questions. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Doug Stevens.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the call. Again, my name is Doug Stevens, and I'm with the SGFOA, and I've been chairing the training committee of the last few years. And the purpose of this presentation, again, is to learn more, to get better, and to become more consistent as officials during high school games. I think that's the common theme coaches want, is that consistency as well. So one of the best ways to get better is to watch game film. So I'm sure you guys are all doing that, but even in the off season, as much as possible, if you can watch game film on these topics or any application, that's going to get us all to be a little better. It's also going to help get that muscle memory repetition, those reps. Sometimes we don't get enough reps. But if you watch video, and this is what they're doing at all levels, you're going to get much better for themselves and in the long run on the field. So especially getting in better position to make those type of calls. Go ahead, Ryan. So as everyone knows, we've had some significant rule changes in the last 5 to 10 years. And everything seems to be towards that safety issue. So as we all know, and those listed below there on the slide, we're the ones that got put into place because of these type of fouls, blindside blocks, and the targeting and the spearing. We're going to go over all of that, and it just must be penalized. One thing I want to bring up, since we're talking safety foul, so there's sometimes a result of a bad safety foul that's out there, a bad situation. So just a reminder, and this is right out of the FHSAA guidebook. When you suspect an injury, anything that's questionable, possible concussion or anything there, you've got, at the end of the play, you've got to get sideline personnel or school personnel involved immediately. So most importantly, our job's done. Okay, so our job's done on that. So our responsibility is just limited to the activities that occur on the field. We're all probably doing this, but we want those folks to take their time and attend the player. So once the player's removed, then it's on the school, it's on the sideline to evaluate that athlete's safety. So just a tidbit on that. Sometimes this stuff happens on the sideline and they're laying there in that white area, that 2-yard belt. Let's make sure to take time. Don't tell them to move it off. Just take as long as you want and move them back safely. It doesn't matter if you're 100 yards away. We got to get them removed. So player safety is number one. Oh, and never touch an injured player. All right. So here are our objectives for tonight. I'm gonna cover late hits out of bounds. I've got a few nuggets there I think you'll get out of it. The blindside blocks, that's a big one. The new rule, defenseless player, it really wasn't a new rule, but we're going to focus on that in our topic here. Blocks in the back, illegal blocks. That could be chop blocks and low blocks. And then we'll finish up with targeting. And we will have video. And we will have some definitions and things just to kind of bring it all to home. So here we go. So late hit out of bounds. First off, just a mindset on this. If a player is going east or west, player going straight out of bounds or in an angle, and his foot touches that white and he's hit, we want flags. The reason for that is because he's given himself up. I'm sure you guys know that, but it's just a really good rule of thumb. If he's going in that direction and he's not trying to go up the field, it should be, if it's late, it's a flag. Now, north-south. So we've got a long run up down the sideline, say on the kickoff or something. And the idea is his feet, not 2 feet out of bounds, but 2 feet, 2 foot in the white. We want a flag because the runner is not giving himself up. 2 feet in that white is dead ball, personal foul. Okay. Dead ball, personal foul. So if he's like, skirting that sideline and he's about, 3 inches in the white, you probably, and he gets knocked, you're not going to have a foul. So here's the rule of thumb. A little late is a little contact or no foul. And then we have a little late, big contact is a foul. So I hope those ideas will help everyone when it comes to that sideline coverage and personal fouls. Okay, let's take a look at this. Thank you, Ryan. Let me see which one this is. Okay, so this is a great one. Now he's quarterback, but he's a runner and he's going to give himself up here. However, you're going to see a legit blindside block right there on the edge. And we're going to go over blindside blocks later. But as you can see, that sideline and those type of fouls really rouse up those sidelines, as we all know. I'm preaching to the choir. But it just, we just got this crew did a good job, the best they could. They didn't cause this and trying to keep those guys back. So anyhow, I just wanted you, and you're going to see some more angles on this. It's a great illustration of a runner giving himself up. And that situation there. Okay, got one more angle on this, I think. And then we'll go, here we go, this is from the end zone. Yeah, so a lot of things can happen in that situation. He could have slid out, and then he giving himself up on that. You don't want anything. Obviously, if any contact when you slide is a late hit. So it's a personal foul, 15 yards. Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. Brian. And I'm going to turn this over to Mark Jensen. He's going to cover the blindside block rules.
Good evening. And blindside block is one of the newer blocking rules that the NHFS has implemented over the years. By definition, a blindside block is a block against an opponent who isn't looking at you. It was back when a lot of us were playing or started officiating. It was the great block, the peel back block on the kickoff, the punt, the interception return. Now they don't want that in the game. Next, Ryan. There is an exception to this. If the blocker comes with his hands out extended and hits the runner in the front. If he hits him in the back, then you have a block in the back. But if it's from the front with his hands out, it is a legal block. As you can see, the little cartoon gives you an idea of what that looks like. But that would not be a blindside block. You see, as I said, you see these most on the returns or the quarterback scrambling in the backfield and the tackle peels back to get the defender chasing down the quarterback. This is one we obtained from one of the college officials in our association. Basically, there's three components to this file. It's in the open field is where you're going to see it. Very rarely will you see it in the free blocking zone where all the players are. It has to be from where the defender or the blocked person would not see it coming, and it involves forcible contact. As I said before, it's going to be the change of possessions or kicking downs. Usually it will be the wide receivers, the slot backs. The linemen, you don't see it very often in the interior. It's not to the front. You could get a block that the contact is forcible, but it's from the front and done in the old school fashion where the defender would see it coming. And forcible means more often than not, the defender is going to be knocked down or knocked off of the route he's running. You see it where the blocker will set his feet waiting for that defender to come chasing after the ball carrier, and just takes him out without him seeing because it's from the side. Next one, Ryan. Here's I think this is an old one from the Federation, but it shows a classic example of a blindside block. You'll see it down around the 10-yard line. Quarterback scrambling. And it's one where you'll see a lot of times the player who made the block will stand over the defender and kind of announce that I hit him and I took him out. But if this player had come in with open hands, this would not have been a blindside block. Next. And now I'll turn it over to Rick Sanzone, who will cover the new changes to the defenseless player.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. This rule is a new rule for a lot of us, and it's something that we have to readjust. If you've been officiating for a while, back in the day, up until this year, you could basically do the ESPN blow them up hit, knock the ball out, and that was legal. But this year's rule is not. So we have the definition up here. It's 232:16. And it is a player who because of his physical position and focus on concentration, is especially vulnerable to injury. So a player who initiates contact against a defensive player is responsible for making legal contact. So what we're saying is if the hands are up as extended, it's fine. The best way to look at this is if you're going to hit somebody in the opening, try to wrap them up as a tackle style. Some of the things that can help you guys out a little bit, especially the back judges, because this was going to back judging and Wayne's going to see more of this, is try to make sure that the player on offense is receiving the ball, can at least bring it to his body and make some type of football movement, whether it's a step or two before he gets laid out. If he gets hit and his hands are extended forward, that's fine. But what we're trying to do is the big blow up now. So it's going to be a little adjustments for us to look at. And the next slide is right out of the rule book on page 38. It basically says a receiver in B or C above, including the person intercepting the pass who is forcefully contacted by opponent that is not incidental contact as a result of making a play on the ball, initiated with open hands, which we just discussed, on attempt to tackle by wrapping arm or arms around the receiver, which we just discussed. There, we got some video we're going to show a little bit. It's really, I don't think that hard to realize. We need to watch it a bit and really focus on what we're seeing before we start the call on it. I don't think it's going to be too bad of a rule this year, but if it's people who's been doing it a while, it might have a little time to catch up to the new rule. So this was taken out of an association out of New England. This guy named Tommy Brow does a really good rules interpreter. He breaks it down. Now the illustrations are a little fun to get used to, but he breaks it down in 2 plays that are really good for us to watch. The first one is basically he defined it a little bit better as definition of a defenseless receiver has been expanded to limit the methods he or she may be contacted in 213.16D. As you can see, he's doing a little illustration there. As you kind of can see from this picture, this guy's probably going to get blowed up because the ball hasn't received there yet. This guy that's back here on his behind here that we're showing now is probably going to come in and hit him without the arms extended. This is what is not allowed no more. It's a safety foul. So we're going to show a couple plays here. As you see this first play, the basic defender wrapped arms around the opponent in a wrap style tackle. Yes, it was hard, but he wrapped him. So therefore this year that would be legal. It's kind of hard to see in the film, but he does wrap him up right there with his hands, and it is a hard hit. That is a legal hit this year. This next play, you should see the defender lowers his shoulder forcefully. He's not making a play on the ball. As you can see, he basically not making a play on the ball, nor is he leading with open arms, nor is he attempt to rack a tackle. This is what we were saying earlier about the ESPN hit. Up until this year, that used to be legal. No more. It's a safety foul. He's a defensive player. One, he hasn't really brought the ball to his body. He really made no attempt to make a football move. And this guy came in and took him out. So basically, that is a personal foul. So now I'll be turning this over.
It's back to Mark again. This is one of the older rules that we're discussing. A block in the back is when a blocker contacts an opponent with the initial contact in the back, inside the shoulders, and below the helmet, and above the waist. It's not against the player who's pretending to be a runner or is the runner. Next. Blocks below the waist. This is the old roll-up block, if that's what you want to call it. It's especially relevant when you're talking about punt scrimmage kick plays where the personal protectors, the up backs, guy breaks through the line and their first point of contact is below the waist. The point of, if they start high and go low, they're fine. But if their initial contact is below the waist, it's a block below the waist. It also applies only when the person being blocked has one or both feet on the ground. If the defender is jumping to try and get around them, block the punt, block the field goal, what have you, and they contact them below the waist, it is a legal block.
Hey, Mark, can you, before we go here, on a block in the back, can you just review with everyone that, the continuous block
Oh,
and then the
yes, I'm sorry.
separation, because that's usually,
Yeah, that's
you
one
know,
that will get a lot of people. You'll hear a lot of calls for a block in the back. And as an official, we have to be aware that if the block starts in the front and the contact is continuous around to the back, it is not a block in the back. A lot of times defenders will try and turn it as the contact is being made, they'll try and turn around and buy that block in the back call. If they start it in the front and you get a separation between the blocker and the person being blocked, and then the block continues into the back, then you would have a block in the back. But you have to be careful of that when you have an initial contact. You have to see the entire action. You can't just, as you turn and look, see number 14 in this picture at the bottom, blocking the defender in the back, but you don't know how he got there. It may have very well started out as a legal block, and the defender, the player wearing the white jersey, spun around in an effort to get away. The block in the back to be called has to be initiated from behind. You know,
Before the next slide, we have a question as well on the defenseless receiver. Doesn't the defenseless receiver have to have a chance to become a runner? If he is hit before he has had the chance, isn't that also a foul?
got it, Rick?
No, Doug.
Doug, you're muted.
You're muted, Doug.
Doug's muted, but yes, that is correct. He has to, the receiver must have a chance to become a runner. The defender, especially this year or any year, they are limited on how they can contact the receiver, of course, before the ball gets there, because if he hits the receiver before the ball gets there, so we're going to most likely have DPI. But even as the ball is contacting the receiver, he cannot come in with the old-fashioned just shoulder to the back, which a lot of us are going to have to retrain our brains on how to see that this year, because in the past, that receiver, that ball is hitting the receiver's hands, and a defensive back comes in and hits him from the back, not targeting the head or anything with the shoulder. We're going to pretty much let it go. It's a clean hit. This year, we got to retrain our brains to not allow that. That's going to be a foul this year. So the receiver must have a chance to become a runner. If he doesn't have that chance to become a runner, he is considered defenseless. And if the defender is not coming in, wrapping him up, as you saw in the first video clip, then we're going to have a foul for a defensive player this year.
yeah, and
Also,
that's difficult for a 5-man crew because there are gaps on the field. I mean, 7-man can assist with that, but you know, it's all about you know, staying on your key and you know, not ball watching. So it's just going to be a challenge.
also, just remember, not only is this, we keep saying the offense, this could also happen on defense. If a defensive defender goes up and tries to intercept the ball and he doesn't get caught, and an offensive guy comes and blows up, it's the same penalty. Basically, it's a safety foul. Well, that's what we need to retrain ourselves, and not, like everybody's been saying, you got to stay a little bit different on your keys. Your keys could change, but don't ball watch. Don't watch the big hit. You got to watch what's going around.
Whenever you're ready, Ryan. Another thing with blocking below the waist, if both players are on the line of scrimmage at the snap, then it is not, you can block below the waist. Wish this film was a little bit larger to see, but you'll see the I think it's the guard in this one go block low on the defender. As this gentleman's trying to explain who can and cannot block below the waist. This just reiterates what I've been saying. You know, if they're on the line, both on the line, then it's legal. And if it's somebody, you know, the quarterback fakes to the fullback and he's going up the middle and the defender takes him out low and he's faking the run, that's not a block below the waist.
Mark, it's from the waist down now, right? Not below the
Yes.
knees, right?
That knees became an issue with the next topic, which is chop blocks. The old definition was, but I'll get to that in a minute. Can you push them a little faster? This is right out of the rule book. Rule 217 describes the free blocking zone, where the short and simple answer is they are on the line within the more or less the tackle box we would use for a grounding or not grounding. And if they're in a shotgun formation, they cannot block below the waist once the initial charge is over. If you have the offensive, you have a shotgun formation, center snaps the ball, the linemen rock back into pass blocking for stance, and then they go at the defenders below their waist, you have a block below the waist there. You do not have a legal free blocking zone block. So especially for the umpires in the free blocking zone, it behooves you, stay on your keys, your center, your two guards, maybe the tackle on the referee side of the field, see what they do. But a lot of times they will stand up and then go low. That is a block below the waist.
Hey, Mark, a question real quick. For the free blocking zone, when the offense has a wide set, the tight end may be outside the free blocking zone.
Correct.
How would you let the wing know that the tight end is outside that free blocking zone?
If we use radios, if a team is consistently coming up early in the game, I might let the wings know, hey, I got wide splits. Tight ends may not be able to block low, but
if that tight end's foot is anywhere near that edge of that free blocking zone, it's
I'm not
4 yards, 4 yards to the left and right of the snapper. If his foot is skirting that outside boundary, he's in.
Yeah.
He's in.
And also you've got the defensive end, or now the edge rushers, that line up where they're hanging right around the edge of the zone. They're able to be blocked low. It's more the really wide linemen, and when you see it, you know it, or the linebackers. And that's the biggest key, is the linebacker coming through and the offensive line going at its legs.
Good questions.
Oh, in this clip, it shows that blocking below the waist can be done by a defender. As you see, I guess it'd be either the safety or the outside linebacker when the blocker is coming out to clear the way for the runner. That gentleman right there just dives right at I guess that was the wingback's feet. But hold it right here, Ryan. Don't. Now, the block by the wide receiver on number 3 is legal, even though he's going to end up below the legs because he started above them. Ends up below the waist and down in the legs because he started above the waist. Okay. Chop block. This is one near and dear to my heart. You have basically, it is the old high-low block, for lack of a better way to put it. It is a combination block by 2 or more teammates against an opponent, other than the runner, of course, anytime where one of the blocks is below the waist and one is above. This is the one rule Doug was talking about the knees. Prior to about 2017, I'm going to say, the rule used to read a combination block by 2 or more teammates with one above the waist and one below the knees. This is a block that will lead to many serious injuries. You can see the Navy blockers in this case. This is a classic chop block where you have looks like the guard at his knees and the center taking him out from above. It's one of those fouls, especially the umpires, and maybe you can get a little help from the referee on a straight running play. But it notoriously occurs within the free blocking zone. You have we have some clips of this later in the films. And next one, I thought you was targeting. Back to Doug on this one.
Oh, the big targeting classification. So this is right out of the rule book, the definition. Rule 220, Article 2, is an act by any player who takes aim and initiates contact against an opponent above the shoulders with the helmet. It doesn't have to be the helmet, it could be the forehand, arm, hand, fist, elbow, or shoulders. Spearing is shoulders and below. So sometimes that gets confused as far as the definition. Spearing is a helmet, crown of the helmet from the shoulders down, but targeting is above the shoulders. I just wanted to clarify that. So a couple things with targeting. It's not always the back judge and the big crossing pattern coming across the middle for this type of foul, but this can happen anywhere on the field, and this can actually be against the runner if he's using his helmet against a defender up high. So I've seen it in the backfield. You've got a peel back block coming around on a jet sweep, and they come up against the grain, and if he's not using his arms to push, a lot of times they'll either it'll be a blindside block, or if it's above the shoulders, it's a targeting foul. So it is very critical that we have eyes on that. We do not want to officiate air. We want to be able to stay with your keys a little bit. So there's got to be some responsibilities on a play like that. So it's hard in a 5-man, no doubt, especially on the crossing patterns going down there. But usually the back judge will have that foul. If there's a big foul on a potential targeting situation, and even though it'd be nice to have 2 flags on that. But if, say the line judge, or, we're supposed to hold on the line, but the, say line judge or head linesman, if there's something that they saw, even though they didn't have a flag, they can go and talk to the back judge, and there could be a possibility of a flagrant foul. Now, nowhere in the rule book does it say targeting is an automatic ejection. So you guys, you're in the trenches, you're hearing that all the time. Oh, he's ejected. That's targeting. He's ejected. No, we don't have an ejection rule for targeting. It's only if it's flagrant that it could be targeting with a disqualification by a player. I don't know if anybody has any questions, just bring them on in on that one. So there's types of targeting situations. I'm sure you guys know. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it could be a clothesline type tackle, around the neck area, stiff arm clothesline, classic one. But I wanted to go over launching. So if there's anything you want to get out of this, so the presence of a launch. Okay, and you guys see all the definitions on Saturday replays and things like that, but the presence of a launch, a player leaving their feet to contact an opponent by an upward and forward thrust of the body, making contact in the head and neck area. Launch, an A player leaving their feet to attack an opponent by an upward and forward thrust of the body to make forcible contact in the head or neck area. You've got to stay on your key from start to finish, or you're going to miss it, because we don't have replay and it's fast. A crouch followed by an upward and forward thrust to attack with forcible contact at the head or neck area, even though one or both feet are still on the ground. So you could get a crossing pattern and somebody hanging on him, and then as he's going down, a defender comes in low with a helmet, makes contact above the shoulders, and you could have a targeting situation in that scenario, not a spear, but a targeting. And again, if it's bad enough, it's got to be a foul so severe or extreme that it places an opponent in danger of serious injury. And this involves violations that are getting extremely persistent with as the game progresses. So we've got to be on this, and we got to get it. So, but it'd be nice to have some help on those type of fouls or penalties. So, go ahead, Ryan. You want to hit the next one? So out of the rule book. This is the definitions. I'm not going to repeat it there. So a lot of these are test questions. So the difference between the butt blocking, face tackling, or spearing. So again, that's and then below on Article 2 is the definition on that. So line of scrimmage. You could have offensive lineman, defensive lineman low and making helmet contact. That would not be targeting, since they're both engaged and at the line of scrimmage. And they're just doing that swim tactic. Go ahead, Ryan. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is pretty crisp video. Okay, so again, that's going pretty fast, but take a look what's going on here. The helmet hits the other helmet. He doesn't even go down. I mean, nowhere does it say targeting has to be forcible where the player goes down. So there's a classic. I mean, that's a hard one to see. They probably went to replay on this. This was a college game, but it's just a really good illustration that you have to be in really good position and in a good angle where you can see this type of penalty. So, I mean, that's a helmet to helmet situation there. So should have been, it probably was a flag. So as far as that's concerned, well, I mean, take a look at all those results of those targeting plays. I mean, it's pretty brutal. I mean, we see this all the time at the next level. And, you know, again, watching as much video as possible is going to help identify these type of plays. And again, there's just no place for it. So, you know, and speaking with some of my cohorts that work that next level, you know, let's not, you know, they disqualified themselves. Let's just get that out on the table. We're not going to, you know, warn them at all. We do not want to do that because, I mean, there's a safety factor in here. They disqualified themselves. If it comes in and there's severe contact, this is a disqualification. So, I mean, it could start out as a blindside block. It could end up a targeting. You could have flagrant foul, but I think the players are getting better at this. In my experience, I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of these. I mean, yeah, you get the blind sides a lot, but I mean, if we don't have eyes on the play from start to finish, you're just going to miss it. And I think everyone on this call will agree with that. So,
Hey, Doug, real quick.
yes, sir.
Is a clothesline tackle considered targeting?
If it's yes, if it's above the shoulders, because again, according to the rule, it's hand, fist, arm. Yes, I would say that could be considered, that is targeting. And if it's real severe, that's an ejection or disqualification. Yes.
And then one other one, I mean, I don't think any of us have it. I think we've all kind of questioned this ourselves, but just throwing it out there because it was in the chat. Why is the runner allowed to lower his head while running and blow over a defender? Most of the time he hits the defender with the crown of his helmet.
You know, that's a great question. And if any of my team members can chime in on this, I mean, we talk about this, we pregame this, and yeah, we see that. I mean, if they're both going down, defense and offense, and they're both going down, you probably don't have anything. It's a sad fact, and it's a part of football. But I mean, you'll know it when you see it. If he's using that helmet as a battering ram, I mean, that's the big one. We want to make these as big as possible, but you know, the running back's going to be the guy that's going to get injured. I mean, he's the guy putting his head down. I guess, you know, you have to see the whole thing.
You see it, you call it.
I think I've only seen it one time called, and that was Zeke Elliott. He was called in an NFL game. That's the only time everybody was surprised that it was actually called from the announcer's booth to the shock on the field. So, I mean, again, like I say, it's a great question. I don't think any of us have an answer for it, but just wanted to make sure I brought it up because I didn't want to leave any questions out.
If you call it, it is a very hard sell. I know from personal experience. I've had where the running back has lowered his head right into the defender's midsection in front of his own coaches. He's allowed to do that.
No.
And it's a hard sell. You got to fight it. But if you see it, you got to call it.
That would be a spearing classification.
Yeah.
So you have all these different categories. So again, crown of the helmet, below the shoulder pad, or shoulder pad below is a spear.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've just got to see the whole thing. I agree. It's a great conversation piece. You know, talk about it back at your associations. Be interesting if we can find some video on that. But I haven't called it myself. So, but it's worth prepping your crew for it. So,
Doug,
Add on. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I have called it a few times, and basically what it is, it's the running back. It's your premier stud running back that's going to go to the next level. He's being trash talked. He's been dominated. And the thing you got to look for is you got to look for the head. Is he leading with the head? If the defender comes down, puts his head down, he can't see what he's hitting. The running back can't. So if the running back lowers his head, he initiated. That's what we got to learn. And the problem is, to answer Jeremy's question, is a lot of us officials don't want to throw it. And that's what we need. That's a safety issue. And if you really see it, you got to throw it and do the best you can to explain it to the coach. Yes, you're going to take some heat for it, but it's a safety issue. You don't want no student athletes going out on a stretcher. So you
Yeah.
got to try to prevent it if possible.
Yeah, I guess you could have a running back, full steam ahead, and it's one-on-one on the goal line, and he launches, dives, forward, trying to get across, and he contacts the defender helmet to helmet. Yeah, that's a hard
Yeah.
one,
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I think everybody knows the kid from Lehigh. He was known to do it a couple of times. That just went to Alabama this year. It's the running back gets the full steam, and he wants to put a big ESPN hit by taking out a D-back. And he'll lower his head, like Doug said earlier, and he'll ram you like a ram. So we got to call it, we got to own it, and it's for the kids that's playing the sport. We want them to walk off.
And
Okay.
just to kind of finalize it, I'm sure most of us in here have probably seen the highlight of Earl Campbell for the Oilers when he goes at a linebacker or something and just lowers his head and puts it into the guy's chest and runs him over. That's what popped up into my head when we were talking about this. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but if we see anything like that, yes, we have to call it. And I think that's the perfect example. It's just Earl Campbell back for the Oilers. He just lowers his head and runs right over somebody when he was playing.
Yeah, I mean, the last 10 years, the players are faster, stronger, and their equipment is unbelievable right now, especially the elite schools. I mean, it's just, they're like college prep teams nowadays. And I mean, there are some big time hits. So again, I'm saying it is difficult for a 5-man crew. So we just we all have our work cut out for ourselves.
Trying to move the panel. Hold on.
Looks like we're going to queue up some huddle. Okay, good. This is good.
Yeah. So we have about 11 plays that from over the past couple of years from our association that focuses on topics that we discussed here tonight. So we're just going to go over them. Feel free to have questions about them, but just show some low blocks, chop blocks, things like that to give you guys a better visual. So again, right here, and also helping like on our mechanics and keys, who's looking for what, who can see what, stuff like that. And then we also have some rule references as well. Yeah. And again, then to focus on mechanics too, line judge here, you see some extracurricular activity happens over here. Make sure, because this would be the line judge's spot, make sure you have your spot before you kind of go get in the middle of something or try and solve some extracurricular stuff. If that happens, as we just talked about this in our last training class, drop a bean bag or something to make sure you own your spot before you go break something up. And then again, just more notes that we went over. Again, just a sweep play. Receiver cuts the DB trying to come up and make a play.
Oh,
So this one we got blocks below the waist, but both of these are legal because they're at the snap. So remember, have block below the waist be legal. It has to be immediately at the snap, which both of these are, and they are both going below the waist. So that block right there, even though you see two guys, they're both going low. So that would be legal. What is illegal is that. And then go ahead and say, Doug, Mark, Rick, feel free to jump in whenever if you want to add anything to this. But this would be the illegal chop block right there. One guy going high, the other guy going low. And if you didn't finish it out, that would be chop block.
Even though the guy on the ground wasn't intentionally trying to go low, it's still the top guy pushed him over. So therefore, by rule, that was illegal. As you can see, the umpire threw the flag.
And I
That's-
think
yeah.
somebody mentioned it earlier. Blindside blocks, anything funky is gonna probably happen on kick plays a lot. Or change of possessions, things like that. So we gotta be aware of stuff like that. So blindside, I mean, we can all look at that. We're gonna say no on that, as you can kind of tell. The team R player is extending his hands. So not a blindside there, just a good discussion piece. What we do have though, plays over, personal foul. And as I said, we believe that we do not have a blindside. The team R player performed a block with open hands. However, we got to catch that dead ball personal foul towards the end of the run.
Hey, Ryan, can you go back to the beginning of that?
All the way back, Rick?
Well, where they
You wanna-
possessed it.
Yep.
Okay. Stop it right there.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
My bad.
Stop it right there. If the back judge, if we can put him on the back judge, if the back judge would get back a little bit further, he don't need to crash in that hard. He might see that, he would see that wave. He would definitely have seen the second one. There's no reason to come into there, stay deeper, get a bigger depth perception. You might miss the first one, but you're definitely going to see the second one. Or in whoever's coming up behind the short wing, whether it's the line judge coming up, someone needs to catch that dead ball personal foul that was that late hit.
Next one. And that's just another angle of it. I show from this angle too. And then here we're gonna have a block in the back. Again, a lot of this stuff's gonna happen on change of possession, kick plays. Just being aware. Head linesman here should be picking that up. I mean, you're in perfect position. To see that block, you need to be picking that up and seeing that as he does right there. And remember too, just talking mechanics more here. Try and get your flag where the foul occurred. Do your best. I know sometimes, especially if you're a back judge and you see a blindside block close to the line of scrimmage, like on a sweep or something, you guys got to try and toss that thing, get the flag as close to the spot of the foul as possible. And then continue to officiate. And then here. This is one we debated and kind of went back and forth. Is it at the waist or below? If below, where we are enforcing it from? We got a couple different angles of this. So again, hits right there. I believe we said this is good, right, guys? When we were discussing it, I think we all
Yes,
said that this is a legal block. He's good. It's at the waist, not below. The defender even is kind of, I think, pushing him down some, which might make it look worse than it is. But when we were going over this and decided that this would all be legal, that would be a legal block and he's good to go. Yeah, make the calls big. We don't want to go looking for stuff. Make them big, make the calls big. Don't go out there looking for trouble. And just for purposes, again, with another new rule, if this was called, remember with the new rule this year, foul behind the line of scrimmage in this case, you're gonna enforce it from the previous spot. Another example of a blindside block. And here to enforce from the end of the run. And then as I mentioned earlier, back judge saw it, try and get the flag to the spot best as possible. highlighting the D end. Watch what happens on this play. So no. Okay, the question is this block legal? No. When we think block below the waist, we think a lot about the offense doing it. We got to kind of make sure we got to be aware that the defender can't be doing that here. In this case, a guard's pulling and the defensive end gets low to try and cut him. That is an illegal block below the waist. We have to be aware that defense can't be doing that either.
Yeah, that's probably a wing,
Yes.
responsibility.
Yep. So again, the wing there should have caught in that. Umpire could probably help to a degree. Could possibly also see it, but that it should be primary there should probably be the wing. So again, go back. Kind of highlighting the free blocking zone there. So can this guy be blocked below the waist or in the back? No, he cannot, only if he was on the line of scrimmage at the snap. And then do we possibly have a blind side here? Remember, if the defender sees it coming, there is no foul.
Yeah, and it wasn't forcible.
I think that's what we decided here. So
I think the way the defender reacted also had a lot to do with it.
yeah. So again, I
He's-
said, go ahead, Mark.
He saw it coming and even try, as you can see inside your circle, he even tried to grab him to stop it.
So again, as my note says, in moment, again, if I'm there officiating, I might have called this. But again, that's why we have film. Go back, look at our mistakes, see how we can all get better. I think Doug said it earlier, and I know I agree with him. I love watching film. I think film's the best way to learn and how to get better.
Yeah, you got to be outside the opponent's field of vision. He has to be able, could reasonably defend themselves, and forcible. He's got to go down.
Yeah. So in this case, say we're saying this shouldn't have been a blind side and it was a good no call. Change of possession. And this is a no doubter. Blindside block.
It's a few, right?
You got 2, 3 flags end up there. May not want to have 3 flags on that, but 2 would probably be okay there. Just making sure we're all watching our keys, officiating the whole field.
Yeah, and everybody, when you have those plays that end up out of bounds like that with
Yeah.
mixed jerseys, we have got to get in there and escort the opposing player out of there. It's our responsibility to get there as quickly as we can. Watch players. Don't worry about the game ball and get those mixed jerseys separated as fast as possible, so it doesn't escalate.
Hey, Ryan, can you go back to that one at the very end of that one?
Yep.
So Doug was saying, just go, okay, stop right there. So it's called an inside-outside theory. The pressure is on the outside of the field. So this official should have turned his back to the field of play and got, like Doug said, got in there. There is only 2 white jerseys with 3/4 of the team. Nothing's good is going to be out of there until he can get help from another official. He needs to get in there. Again, somebody's going to get the spot, drop your bean back if you have to, or remind yourself where it is and get in and escort that player out, because nothing's good is going to come out of there by him staying there. And this official worrying about the ball, he should, if he turn his body, at least communicate, be a voice in there. There might be some more separation. Even though most of these kids are going out to celebrate, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Blindside block. in there, even instead of tossing up the air, just maybe a little underhand thing to make sure you get the flag at the correct spot, continue to officiate. You should be good to go. Show it again. Boom. Say perfect position to see it. He sees the foul. Just instead of maybe throwing it up in the air, just a little underhand thing, get it at the spot of the foul, come up, continue to officiate. And then here we have a holding. And then also late hit out of bounds. Again, just stuff to be aware of. Make sure, especially wings. I know we're preaching to our wings to officiate behind the play. Open up your field of vision. There's no need to be right on top of the play. You put yourself in harm's way. If you're officiating behind the play, you keep yourself safe, most importantly, but it also opens up your field of vision, allows you to see more, and it's the best way to officiate. So make sure you're backing up, opening the gate, whatever phrase you guys want to call it. Let the play go past you and officiate behind. I believe that was it. Yep, that's it. Oh, go back. And then, are there any questions?
We
anything
we
we
did have a
went over?
couple that came up. One was going back to the hands to the head targeting, so to speak. What if a running back uses a stiff arm to the head of a defender?
Well, if it's permanently out there, if he's not thrusting his arm towards the head like a punch, if he just has his arm out there to make contact, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, usually those guys would thrust it. If he's thrusting it towards a helmet, then you got a foul. But if it's stationary through the run, I mean, all the way out there, and he runs and he puts it up on the helmet, you know, I think you're good.
As long as it isn't forcible contact.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, just, the shove off, that isn't forcible. But he throws his a stiff arm into the face of the opponent and he ends up on his back.
Yeah.
You might have to look at that. You have to think about that one.
Yeah. You better see it all the way through. Obviously, he can't be near, I mean, he can't grab that face mask or ear hole or, anything like that. So to get an advantage. Good question.
Yeah. And then the other one, it was more of having access to the videos that were just played. Obviously, I'm assuming it's from your guys' Huddle account. So I don't know if you want to send them to me and I can post them. I don't know if the little pop-up blurbs will show if you can download those directly from Huddle like that. I don't know if you want to put officials into your account. Either way, whatever works, if you guys want to, other than just the PowerPoint where they could see the videos. We had a question about that. So if we can figure out a way, I'm assuming that probably wouldn't be an issue if you guys wanted to share those.
No, I said none of us are going to mind sharing those out. I don't know the exact logistics on how that would work, but we can figure it out.
Can't we share the playlist that we have? If they have a Huddle account,
well, that's what I was going to say, because when we request film from schools, they have their own Huddle account. So can't we share film across the officials associations too?
I'm pretty sure you could, as long as you had someone's account that they can put it in, and then they can share within the rest of the. I don't want 1,000 people that you have to share with. So maybe if we get one contact from an association that I can get to Ryan, and then he can share that list of plays with them, we can do it that route. That way he only has to send it out a few times and not to the masses. So email me and I will work with Ryan in regards to getting a playlist out to an individual from each association if an association wants that. Does that work for you, Ryan?
It works.
Yeah, and throughout the, season, if anybody on the call, I mean, pick up, reach out to us. Let's have some open dialogue on situations that happen. I mean, we're all here to help each other and improve. So, let's just keep the dialogue going.
I did have this isn't on the about the presentation. There has been a couple questions about the rule book. Yes, the new rule book is available. Our office just held our association leadership conference this past weekend, in which those representatives were able to pick up the boxes of rule books and certificates and all the other materials for the upcoming season. So association should be passing those out as soon as they return or whenever the next meeting is. But the rule books are available and have been sent out or given out. Those who didn't make the meeting are being shipped out and mailed this week. So UPS, we have either 1 day or 2 days, so they should be getting them by the end of the week if the representative didn't show up at the meeting. What if the runner grabs the defender's face mask?
Then you have a face masking penalty, whether it's 5 or 15. Just because he's a runner does not obviate him from being the rest of the rules. If he puts his hand on the face mask, you have nothing. But if he grasps it in some way, you have a face mask penalty, and then it'd be up to the covering official to 5 or 15.
Yeah.
And you do see that more often than you see it being called more often than the runner lowering his head.
Good question.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have that have come through. So, gentlemen, we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening away from your families, as well as everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for joining us and taking about an hour and 10-15 minutes out of your night and away from your families. We appreciate it. We look forward to the upcoming season. As I said, the rule books have been either given to your association representative leadership, or will be mailed out if they didn't attend the meeting this weekend. So you should be getting your rule book here very soon. And we wish all of you a great and hopefully safe season this year. And like Doug said, if you have any questions, please reach out to myself. I can get you in contact with them. Reach out directly to them. The booking commissioner and president contact information for all associations is posted online. There's Adam's contact information. I'll leave that up for a little bit before I end it. But again, thank you all. Adam, your crew, thank you very much for putting this together and presenting tonight. We appreciate it. And again, like I said, we hope all of you have a safe and wonderful season.
Jeremy.
And please, if anything comes up, reach out to us at the FGSA office, myself, Robbie, or Lisa, and we'll take care of you as quickly as possible. Gentlemen, you have any final words?
Can you remind everybody again when the test starts?
The test is scheduled to be available July 31st.
And ends when?
It ends, don't hold me to it. I believe it's the 18th of September. Adam, if you want to say some words, I will look on the website real quick and come back with the confirmation date. But if you have anything else or anybody else has anything while I look that up, I will get a definitive answer.
Yeah, we were glad to see so many people enroll for this and to participate. The questions were great. I want to thank my entire team for helping put this together, and we hope you found it informative and can take something away from this as we move into the season in just a few short weeks.
It is September 18th is the deadline for the first exam window. And then the second exam window that does not allow for postseason play, but will allow an official to stay eligible for the remainder of the season, will be September 22nd through October 13th. So, well, again, guys, appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us tonight, and we hope all of you have a great night.
Have a good season.
Good season, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir. Good to see you guys.